Thank you. Yes. Yeah. First off, it's game week. We're really excited for this renewed just sense of urgency for us to be able to take the field. The players have been working incredibly hard. I thought that from a bye week perspective, it couldn't have gone better. But the bye week's in our rearview mirror, and now it's all about what lies ahead, and that's family weekend. A highly energetic Folsom Field that we look forward to playing in front of, and we want to surpass that energy from a team perspective in terms of how we play, how our sideline operates, and I think the practices have definitely been reflective of that energy. Today's practice was really our first game week practice. What we did is we did a walkthrough. We added a couple walkthroughs after the two practices, so Tuesday and Wednesday. We had those full speed practices, very competitive, and then Thursday added a morning walkthrough before players had a chance to get home for some of the weekend, and then we added a Sunday night walkthrough as well. And I really believe that this group of players understands just the process is what this thing's all about. If you make it solely about outcome and not really focusing on the process, and for us as coaches and me speaking to the team is really identifying what is our new process going forward. Today was a physical tough day. And that's exactly what we wanted to get out of today, and that's exactly what the players gave. If we want to fix some of the things that preceded this new start in the run game and stopping the run, we got to practice that way. I think the players understood that and continually just giving them the why, and then they're giving us, the what, which is effort, enthusiasm, intensity. Great challenge this week against Cal, a team with a winning record coming in. A highly explosive running back, number 6. When we were game planning for Arizona, I couldn't believe the amount of explosives that he had. A quarterback, number 13, that I have some personal experience coaching against in 2020, Minnesota, Purdue, the COVID year. It was a wild game. I think I didn't know it at the time, but I think myself and about 39 others in our building had active COVID that was revealed the next day, and with testing. But we were hanging on by a thread, as everybody was in 2020. And I remember same jersey number, I believe 13. He has a lot of experience, game experience, proficient passer. And a guy that if you're not correct in your coverage responsibilities, he's going to reveal some of those weaknesses. So, they have a good group of receivers led by number 3 and a tight end group. They'll play 3 at a time. 85 is a fantastic tight end. And then a defense that I have a lot of respect for, their head coach. He and I worked together. Actually, I played in my time at Boise State. He was a defensive graduate assistant, and we've crossed paths over the years. Stanford, when I was at Stanford, he was at Washington. When I was at Stanford, he was at USC. So a lot of familiarity personally and professionally. And then a defensive coordinator, a lot of respect for. Just a very sound defense. Playing really hard. Their linebacking tandem, defensive coordinator's son, is a fantastic player, or nephew, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot of familiarity for me personally. There are 6 coaches, including the head football coach at Cal, that I either played with, either coached at Stanford, or my dad coached with. So it's going to be fun to have a chance to say hello to some of those guys and then get really back to being what this thing's all about, and that's our players. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
Interim coaches last weekend went 4-0. Why do you think that might be, and is it just a fresh voice in the room, or your thoughts on that?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think some of those interim decisions were made weeks ago. Some of them were made more recently. There's an evolution. There's a process that you need to put in place as an interim head coach, and whether it be a new voice, whether it be changes that were made, whether you put as an interim head coach, you put play callers in the correct seats and make the changes. I think all of it can lead to positive growth. But the thing that we can't ever forget is there is an emotional toll on student athletes with regards to change. And that's never going to change. And I think, us having the bye week allowed us to get some of our practices and our process in place. And I really do believe these players have bought into that process. We're not going to really talk about going into this game that, this is the, an interim head coach advantage game, because this thing's about the players. It's not about me, and it's not about our staff. It's about our players, and restoring their confidence, their belief, and their trust in one another and their trust in us. And I see a team that's playing confidently, practicing confidently, and I believe that they trust the process. And that's what we got to continue to do, not just this week, but going forward.
Mike, we talked to Dion right after practice, and he said that there's a lot of really good energy in the last couple weeks, and then he said, but we had good energy before, and it just didn't translate to game week, and we heard that a lot, in the first 5 weeks that good practices weren't translating. Have you been able to kind of pinpoint why that wasn't translating, and have you done anything to try to help it translate better, those good practices to Saturday?
I think energy is one thing, but also structure and process is another. And I think just defining what our daily process is. We have themed practices throughout the course of the week that are new. And I think just understanding that, like, for example, Tuesday's a physical day, right? And, we have a moniker that's inside the building with regards to each day. I think just them understanding that the process is more important, because I think if on the external world, we don't. That's part of the reason that we've had an opportunity to allow you guys in to see the process, because that really is the process that ultimately yields the results. If everything is a referendum on solely what happens on Saturday, which ultimately we all are evaluated on as coaches, then it really makes it solely about Saturday, not about what goes into the week of preparation. What I would say, even beyond that, is just for us practicing with real intentionality, to make it as game-like as possible. That certainly is a change that we've instilled. The crowd noise, the music, the chaos, the competition, not just good on good and running other people's plays, but good on good running our good plays offensively versus our good plays defensively, and then putting a little bit of skin in the game with regards to takeaways and turnovers. I think that's been a big thing for us. So. There is a definitive process. We're emphasizing those things, and if it's solely about Saturday, then why are we practicing? Because ultimately you need to see that growth, from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then you have that ultimate belief that you can go into that game with the confidence and the belief and trust in one another to have the result that we're all looking for.
Mike, you mentioned that you guys were going out on the road to recruit last week. I'm sure it varies recruit to recruit, but generally what's been your message to those guys that are committed in this 2022 class?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that we've talked to each one of those players about, is that Colorado is committed to you. The University of Colorado is in it for you. We've had great cooperation with Rick George with regards to recruiting and conversations with recruits. We just want to reiterate to them that there's seven games left of football this year. There is obviously zero quit in any one of us as coaches. That's reflected in the type of relationships we have with them in recruiting. And so I think we're operating as business as usual. You're committed to Colorado. Colorado's committed to you. And let's just keep putting our head down and moving forward towards the goal, which is to win football games and ultimately get you to sign that dotted line here at Colorado. Whether there's a change or not a change, there's always recruiting that continues to happen from here until December.
Offensively against Arizona, it seemed like you guys were taking a step in the right direction, and a lot of that seemed to have to do with the ability of the running backs in space. How much is that going to be an emphasis going forward with guys like Dion and Anthony Hankerson, who showed some promise as well, and even Charlie Offerdahl, who had a big play early on? How much are you looking to get those guys involved in the offense as we go forward here?
A lot, and that's a room that, I talked to Coach Hagan in particular this week. He did a really good job, kind of being, a transitional time with Font and Dion being really 1A, 1B. and everybody else playing a small role to, Font getting dinged up in the Air Force game and really now having to manage, how to keep everybody fresh and healthy, but also make sure we get the right players in the right positions to go, utilize their unique gifts and skill sets. And I think Arizona was the game where we started to feel that, see that come to fruition, and that's going to be what we do going forward. So, I think that room in and of itself has truly bought into they're better together, and they're better when they're fresher, and they're pulling for each other. The energy on the sideline in that group at Arizona, I wasn't down there, but I heard was phenomenal. Taking shared interest in the success of the unit, rather than just the selfishness of just me, and Dion was a huge part of that. A lot of credit to Dion, not just for how he performed, but how he led. And that's the same Deion Smith I saw all offseason, and I expect really good things from him, from Hank, from Charlie. And Jay Lee Stacks really had a good bye week, came back off of a little bit of a ding himself. So, really excited to see that room have a little bit more depth and shared ownership in terms of getting the ultimate outcome that we all want.
Coach, you'd mentioned before about adding the walkthroughs and things. What else are you doing differently, whether it be schematically or in practices?
Yeah, I think the big thing is from a takeaway and turnover standpoint, we want to be on the plus side. That's how you flip the script quickly. If you can be on the plus side of the takeaway battle and getting more than the defense than our offense gives up. So that's been honestly probably the most consistent emphasis every single day is just making a tangible practice related really award system for the defense getting takeaways and the offense not turning the ball over. So that's something that a mentor of mine, Coach Chris Peterson at Boise State, always emphasized when I was playing for him. And that's something that we're implementing here on a daily basis. Like I said, really emphasizing the run fits and running the football. We're doing a lot more inside drill, which is basically 9-on-7. You take the skill out of it. We're starting every practice with that mentality, just so we can truly emphasize the importance of running the football and stopping the run and the physicality of the game. And then, tomorrow's going to be a day where it's a themed process day off of winning football games. And winning football games is winning situations. So we're going to emphasize, the third down periods, make them competitive. We're going to emphasize, some of the red zone periods. And then we're going to emphasize even, 2-minute end of game scenarios and make those competitive. So, I think just a combination of getting good looks of what Cal does offensively and defensively, but also implementing some true competition. And I think competition is really what I think is the biggest change with regards to the turnover battle, and with regards to, to situational football.
Hi, Coach. On a similar note, what have your conversations been like with Gerald Chapman this week in creating that simple, fast, and sound defense? Yeah,
they've been really good. I've been really proud not only of how he's responded to this, and you can't forget. I mean, this is a big change for everybody. Everybody's playing some different role than they were playing, from a coaching standpoint, and some players are playing in different roles than they were 2 weeks ago. But what I give a lot of credit to is not just Coach Chapman, but the defensive staff as a whole. There's a lot of capable defensive play callers in that room. That's a decision that myself and Rick George made, and trust in our gut. The leadership, the intensity, the value that he places on the players was in line with the vision that we had for this season, because that's what it is. And I've really seen just great input. Rod Chance, in particular, has been very astute with some of his knowledge and experience. And he and I have some background, albeit about a couple weeks at Minnesota together, but there's a lot of respect that I have from him and his coaching tree and what he's brought. Mark Smith, Jeff Smart, the elevation of him and those guys working together, coaching the linebackers, and Brett Maxey just being a constant, steady voice of wisdom and guidance. And then, even just seeing what the GAs and quality controls are doing, it's fun for me. I'm going into that defensive room every once in a while, and I'm having a blast. I'm learning, and they're vetting everything that they're doing. We put in a new call, or we put in a new, front structure. or we put in a new pressure, we're going to vet every single thing about it, whether it's, empty, whether it be, that's a fine right there. Just kidding. I love the work that they're putting in together, and you can't forget that this is going to be Gerald Chapman's first game calling it. Everything that I've seen is that he has embraced the role, he's owned the role, and he's leading, but he's leading in a servant manner. It's not just a dictatorship from anything that he's doing.
Coach, last week when we talked to Coach Patterson, he talked about the intermediate passing game. Do you guys think you're going to be more aggressive on those early downs and just trying to get that first down to keep some drives going?
Yeah, that's a great point. We're going to, obviously we want to run the football to win. You win the trenches. At the University of Colorado, good things happen. That's what we're emphasizing, and it all goes hand in hand, though, right? Defenses start getting more aggressive in the run fit. It opens up those intermediate pass lanes, and that's the balance that we got to continue to find. I think it was really a 5-week journey offensively to find an identity, and can be challenging as you go through some attrition from a body standpoint, and injuries, and players that are dinged up and then coming back. But ultimately, I think that we're really starting to find our identity. I thought we saw that really UCLA at times, and then getting into the Arizona game. But the whole premise of all 3 units playing together as one, I think that's a huge part of it too. You look at drive scoring success charts. If you start your drive on the 25-yard line with consistency as an offense, your scoring percentages are certainly way lower than if you start on the plus 40. Those scoring percentages double. And I think that's a huge part of it is just, creating takeaways defensively, offense playing, aggressive football and getting in the end zone, special teams getting a takeaway. Those things are what I'm looking forward to with response to this team, to play with their hair on fire as a unit. And that it's shared ownership instead of it's kind of offense is this, defense is this, special teams is this. We're going to play together as one Buff family. And that's what I'm starting to see in practice.
Matt McChesney has a little bit of passion for this place. Curious, what went into your decision to have him speak to the team, and do you have plans for other guys maybe to talk to the team?
Yeah, Matt's just a guy that has incredible passion, and he was a perfect guy to bring in with regards to the theme of the day. Today's a physical day. Matt embodied what a Buff is from a O-line and D-line in the, D-line here at CU, O-line in the NFL. He's lived the trenches. He's made his entire livelihood as an entrepreneur in the trenches. And he's got incredible passion for not only this program, but for offensive and defensive line play. And, I wanted him to have that opportunity to just express his desire for this program, his belief in this program and the men that we have in the trenches. And he did a fantastic job, got the juices flowing, and I think the players were excited to hear from a Buff that truly loves this place. Yes, there's always opportunities to bring more Buffs back. I thought that was perfect. We didn't do it at the end of practice. I did it before 9-on-7 drill. I told him he had a good minute because our practices are going to be pretty high paced. He took a little bit more than that, but it was worth it. And he did a fantastic job of just really speaking from his heart about what this place means to him and what O-line and D-line play and linebacker play is all about. And the conviction was there. And I want people to be around our players that that can speak real, can speak truth, can speak life, and he did that today.
Mike, just to follow up on the previous running back question, the younger guys seem to kind of move ahead of Dion in the pecking order in that last game. Do you expect that to continue moving forward? And then along those lines, Alex Fontenot, what update can you give on him and if he's ready to rejoin that mix?
Yeah, first off, nobody moved in front of Dion. In terms of like starts and who has who gets the first carry. A lot of times, I know a lot of people put a lot of value in that. But when we're a rotational group and we have openers that are scripted, you're going to put the right guys in position, and then it might even be with having it through the fact that being fresher gives him more quality. When he does get those opportunities in space, we are one backfield that's together as one. Fine is still trending in a good direction. No real updates from that perspective, but certainly does help with our depth getting Jay Lee back as part of that foursome. What was that? I said Font, right? Yeah. Yeah, you're good. All right, thank you very much.
you doing? How y'all doing?
Anthony, you go from just being cleared a couple weeks ago to now you're doing the press conference. So it must mean you've been playing well. So talk about the progression here through the first couple weeks of you playing and just kind of getting back into the swing of things for you physically.
I mean, I started off just taking it slow. You know, I went down with an injury, but I never left the other player's side at all. I was still in the meetings, still trying to catch up, still trying to keep my head focused on each game plan, even every week, even the ones I wasn't playing in. Kind of just, yeah, that's all. Just make sure I stay in it. That's really it.
Anthony, kind of building off that, what did you learn about college football in your first 2 games at this level?
It's definitely more disciplined football. It's definitely more higher pace. And it is definitely no INT. You're going to need all 10 other players with you on the same field for you to move the ball north to south.
Anthony, what were your conversations like with Coach Hagan as soon as you get back? Was he kind of telling you right away, hey, be ready as soon as you're healthy, you're going to be in the mix? What was that kind of like for you? And if that's the case, kind of how much did that give you confidence going forward? Just, you know, and what the confidence the coaching staff has in you, just to put you in there right away as soon as you're back healthy.
All right, so he pretty much just, I mean, I kind of knew as well because a lot of our backs was going down, so I knew I had to step up, especially knowing I was going to be cleared. But it really wasn't no put me to the side. It was like you got to get ready, like stay ready so you don't have to get ready type of thing. And that's kind of what I took with it. And, yeah, that's what I ran with.
Hey, Anthony.
How you doing?
Arizona, you had a couple of reception, your fair share of carries, a touchdown, a good game overall for you.
Right.
Overall, what was that experience like on Saturday, and was it fun for you even though the Buffs didn't come out with a win?
It was a pretty good experience. That was my first away game. Despite how things turned out, the experience was great. But as a football player, it's just kind of hard, you know. I kind of dropped some tears that night, you know, being that we couldn't get the win that we wanted and that we planned for. But, you know, we was able to, you know, fix things up for the last couple of weeks, especially for the Arizona game, and now we're ready to move forward pretty much.
Hey, Anthony. Obviously, Owen and a lot of other freshmen are playing right now. How have you guys kind of stayed together just with the coaching change and everything going on this year?
You know, we pretty close, especially the young guys. We came in as one, and before, like, any other practice as a team that we had, we was all, you know, meeting up with each other, trying to get things right, you know, understanding each other, understanding the plays, where we needed to be, you know. But that's kind of, we all really feed off each other. A lot of us come from winning programs, so we kind of took what we all know from each other and pretty much, you know, just kind of put it all together and try to spread the wisdom around.
Anthony, Coach talked about that group, that running back group is just kind of one unit. You guys are trying to feed off each other.
Yes, sir.
How valuable is that for you guys as a group to put aside any, you know, personal desires to be the guy, you want 20 carries, things like
Right.
that. But how important is it for you guys, you know, feed off each other and be rooting for each other?
It's very important, but the running back group we have is we definitely all of us are a group of selfless guys. You won't see nobody ducking their heads because they didn't get 20 carries a game. None of that. We kind of all just, like I said, feed off each other. You know, we say it all the time, iron sharpens iron. So that group, we kind of know we're kind of a little special group. We try to help each other out which ways. We kind of pick off each other's game styles, you know, whether it's catching the ball or running in between the tackles or outside the tackles. So it's a pretty special group, and we put a lot on our shoulders, being that we know what we got, what we know what we want to do. Yeah, as far as going forward.
All right, thanks, Hank. Appreciate
All right, thank you.
How y'all doing? Doing well, doing well.
Josh, your perspective of what's been going on the last couple of weeks. I mean, lots happened since the last time we talked to you, but going through obviously a very difficult first 5 games and then losing the head coach. And can you just give me your perspective on how you've handled everything?
It's going to sound crazy, but I've been blessed in college football. I've seen a lot of coaching changes. This is my 4th head coach in 5 seasons. So, I mean, that's a part of it. It's a business at the end of the day. Like, you're either going to produce or you're not, and those are the ones that kind of died the cross with it. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's like coaches getting fired, the same thing as a coach taking a better job. My freshman year at West Virginia, we were really good. Lose the last couple of games. Hankerson flies to Houston after the bowl game, and we don't find out until the next day he's not our coach anymore. So, I mean, stuff like that happens in a business like this.
Josh, what's the biggest change you've seen with Gerald Chapman taking over the defense?
The energy. Energy, of course, kind of doing a couple different things, but really just the energy. Like the level of expectation has risen to a completely different level. I'll say that.
Coach Chapman's talked a lot about playing sound, simple, fast football. Have you seen that so far the past couple of weeks, and do you think that'll help you guys defend the run better moving forward?
Yeah, it's definitely like way more simple than the things we've done in the past. Just not dumbing it down, but just making sure it makes sense to everybody across the board. Like, there really should be no confusion, especially if we stay in our books. And, I mean, it's really just simple defense.
Obviously, you guys had a bye last week. So how much personal reflection, team reflection did you guys have? Was it nice to kind of step away and kind of process everything that's going on and try to figure out how to move forward?
Yeah, we definitely did that from players and coaches. Our coaches didn't take a break at all. Our coaches worked like sound the whole time. We came back and we already had the full game plan ready for us on Sunday. For me, I was blessed enough to go back home and see my daughter, see my family. So it was good to kind of relieve different things. Of course, me being an older guy, I got different sets of values and stuff. Like school, I've been done with school. It's just football and family for me at that point. So being able to see my why was great for me to get a reflection because I'm far away from home. I don't really get to see him a lot.
Josh, just curious what your kind of early impressions of this Cal offense are so far. Obviously, they have a really talented freshman running back that's averaging over 100 yards per game. How are you guys approaching this week? And you faced a lot of really good rushing attacks so far this season. So has that kind of prepared you for kind of what you're going to face this week?
Yeah, I feel like pretty much every running back in the Pac-12 is solid. Every starting back in the Pac-12 is solid. Of course, every team has a solid backup as well. A lot of these running backs can go anywhere in the country and play for any team. So, like you said, a freshman being able to come in and produce like that, that's a tribute to the offensive line and the offensive coordinator being able to put things together to help him succeed. They're really sound rushing attack. They really just want to maul you, beat you down. And, of course, he has the speed to pop different things. They want to show you different looks to kind of get him in space. But the biggest thing is basically just kind of wear you down, get you tired, similar to like an Iowa State team that I've played in the past.
You said you had a daughter, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell me about what that meant to you to be able to go back and during the season go back and see her, and how hard has it been for you to be away for several weeks? But do you think that kind of re-energized you personally just to be able to see her a little bit?
Yeah, it's big. Like, shoot, it amazes me to this day. Like, I'm a dad. Like, it's like it's a hard and an easy pill to swallow because at the same time, like, you living for yourself, but you also got to live for somebody else. So, like, it was always bigger than me, but now it's completely bigger than me. And every time I get a chance to see her, like, of course, it's been a decent amount of time between the times I get to see her. So now I'm seeing her. She got control of her neck now. She eating solid food. She got teeth. Last time I seen her, she was just sitting there, couldn't move her neck. You got to hold her, position her in different ways. So she definitely starting to develop a personality, become her. And it's cool to be able to see that. And now, like, I'm able to see her a lot often. Like, and she's starting to get older, so she's developed more. So she's starting to remember me, see me, like, get smile and stuff like that. So it's cool.